The headline is this, baby. Jada Pinkett Smith breaks silence on marriage, the Oscar slap, and her path to self-acceptance. Now, for those who have been living under a rock, not Chris's, at the Oscars, what, 2 years ago is it now? Maybe? I don't even remember. But I know I was traumatized from the event. Not like Sean Penn, who was traumatized from the event. He wanted to melt his Oscar, he said, after seeing that at the Oscars, which is weird because what Will Smith did wasn't even the worst thing to happen at the Oscars. And to be fair, Sean Penn's kind of worse than Will Smith. He beat Madonna. So it was kind of interesting to see Sean Penn take that angle on it. Maybe Sean Penn should be the one banned from the Oscars. Maybe. Woody Allen probably should be banned from the Oscars. No, apparently not. But Will was. He was banned because he slapped Chris Rock after Chris Rock made on stage, not a great joke about Jada's short hair, saying she had been cast in G.I. Jane 2. It was a terrible joke, and said, "Keep my wife's name out your mouth." Jada Pinkett finally says that these two, for the last 7 years, have been separated. They're not together. The person who's interviewing her says divorce, and she's like, kinda. More of a spiritual divorce, really. No divorce legally, but we are separated. So Will Smith slapped Chris Rock for a woman he's not even with. If we're broken up and we're not together and someone makes fun of you, that's all you, boo-boo. I'm not with you anymore. We have no agreement. We have no attachment. The merger of our two companies has ceased to be. So it seems like someone's going to have to learn some independence and how to defend herself from really jokes. Doesn't work like that. I've been with exes at parties. We've been at same places. And people are joking on her. And I didn't jump in going, hey, you can't say that about her. She's now on her own. We attended this party together because she has no other friends. What are we? America? Just giving out weapons to other countries to conduct wars? Apartheids, genocides? Not us. Not me. I don't do that. We have to be in a committed relationship. I have to have investment in your survival. Because you don't want to date someone who gets joked on. You don't want to date someone who has no jokes to defend themselves. Because then you look bad by extension. It's like, ugh. Why is you a loser? Defend yourself. Do something. Swing at them. Anything. I have dated quite a few women who did not have good senses of humor, no timing, no quickness, no razor sharp quickness. And it's tough for the man. It's embarrassing, really. And that's why I'm not with them, to be fair. I think that played a role in many of my breakups. This person cannot defend themselves intellectually. I cannot respect them. So I cannot date them. Let's really think about this for a minute, right? Really think about this for a minute. Will Smith was an icon of our industry. Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Jerry Bruckheimer, Will Smith. Big time guy. He was the meal in and of itself. You casted Will Smith, your opening weekend was safe. You knew you were making money. Because not only was he well liked and well loved, he could act his ass off. And not only did he do the international fucking tours of all the press, you never had to worry, where do I have to be? That's what he'll be doing press. He also gave you a second revenue stream, the song. The song would then go on the soundtrack, and guess what? You're making box office and you're making money off the soundtrack. He was a brand. He was a stimulus package for studios. When times were hard, call Will Smith. What did Jada Pinkett bring to the table? Nothing. Was she a stimulus check for studios? No. A liability for most. Bad Boys, Independence Day, Men in Black, Enemy of the State. Wild Wild West. The movie didn't do well, but the song did. You can't tell me you can go chicka wow. Chicka wow, chicka wow, wow west. Jim West, Desperado. You can't tell me you don't know that shit. And of course, Drew Hill and Cisco going in the wild, wild west. Like, it was almost like painful for Cisco to sing it, but it was still a #1 hit. Legend of Bagger Vance. Kind of a, you gotta be really into golf to enjoy that movie. Ali. Men in Black 2. Bad Boys 2. He's doubling up. He also appeared in Jersey Girl, which I thought was, it didn't help that movie. iRobot. Flames. Shark's Tale. Dope. Hitch is awesome. Hitch is a cable TV monster hit. It's always playing. The Pursuit of Happiness. Come on. I Am Legend. Lit. Hancock. Controversial. Depends on if you want something a bit off the beaten path from superhero movies. But he still has Pursuit of Happiness. 7 Pounds. I don't think I saw 7 Pounds. Men in Black 3. He went back and gave you some more stimmy check. And then he did After Earth. Now, hold on before anyone says anything. It's not his fault. M. Night Shyamalan seemed like he couldn't be beat. And boy, did he get beat. Those Signs is flames. And I don't care what anyone says. Signs is a great movie. But if you come in my comment section talking about Signs ain't fire, we're fighting. I will f you up. That's a very aggressive way to defend the movie, but I will. Focus? I didn't really watch that. Concussion. This is where things get interesting. Jada felt that Will should have been nominated for his role in Concussion. The Oscars thought otherwise. So she boycotted the Oscars the same year Chris Rock was hosting them. And they got into it. She kind of said Chris should not host the Oscars. He should boycott too. And Chris is like, Suicide Squad, probably the only good part of that movie. Collateral Beauty, I didn't even know that came out. Bright, I still had no idea it came out. Student of the Year 2 as himself. It's a Bollywood film. Wow. Look at him going international. Aladdin apparently did decent. Dads, documentary, I don't think that counts. Gemini Man looked cool. I didn't see it, but it looked cool. Bad Boys for Life I saw, and I enjoyed that. King Richard, bam, what he won for. 2021. This is where he slaps Chris Rock. What did Jada bring to the table? Set it off? And you can't mention the Matrix movies. That's an ensemble part. She's at the selling point of those movies. She's not even a selling point of Boat Trip. Is it Boat Trip? Road Trip? I don't know. Girls Trip. Yeah. Whatever. See, it took me 3 Trip movies to remember what movie she was in. This woman was destroying Will Smith from the inside. Now you're probably saying, well, why didn't it get a divorce then, Ralph? He's man enough to ask for a divorce. Well, apparently they made a promise that they would never get divorced. They would always find a way to work it out. I guess separating was working it out, but it's not working it out, is it? While also she lusted over Tupac, who's been dead more than 20 years. So when you can't beat a guy who's been dead for more than 20 years, and you got a wife who's banging your son's best friend, and you got a woman who just doesn't appreciate the brand, the empire that was Will Smith, what do you think happens? You snap. She destroyed this man because he's an emotional hostage. He's a good dude, a good dad, a good husband. Because they can't get a divorce, right? Or at least now they might be able to. But back then they couldn't get a divorce. Why? Because the man never looks good in the end of a divorce, ever. Especially if he's the one asking for it. A woman can go, you know what? I fell out of love. I want something different. I learned things about myself. It's applauded. It's like, that's great. That's great. You go ahead and do that. Get your groove back. But a guy goes, hey, I've grown. We've grown differently and I want to pursue other things. Oh, why wasn't your family enough? Why weren't your kids enough? Why wasn't your wife enough? It's like, do you see what I'm fucking married to? Someone who's not a brand. Someone lusting over a guy who died 20 years ago. and banging my son's best friend. Now you're coming out announcing the fucking separation when you should have done that when you fucking had the entanglement. You should have fucking went, you know what, and we're also separated. But you had that man sit at the red table crying. Okay, when does Will Smith not cry anymore? And then at the same time, you guys kids who have been like, Daddy, why didn't you slap Chris Rock when he said that about mommy? And my response would have been, well, she was f***ing your best friend, that's why. And I don't feel an obligation to her anymore. This isn't even a stay together for the kids situation, because the kids know. The kids are growing enough to be like, yeah, just end this, man. Kids who are in marriages where the two parents hate each other's guts and just won't get divorced don't turn out okay either. Like, that's another aspect of it. Jaden thinks he's a fucking wizard. The other one I haven't even seen. Has anyone seen her? It's like she just fell off the fucking planet. Who knows what cult she's into now? Which is what tends to happen to a lot of young women when they're in Hollywood and their parents are famous. They end up falling into cults. So hopefully she hasn't. Allegedly, respectfully, honestly. But it could have happened. Sometimes you have to be the martyr of your own happiness. Sometimes you have to go, fuck it. I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm doing what's best for me. You know, Rolling Stone had an article, 50 worst decisions made in Hollywood. Number 7 was Poltergeist, for being an unsafe work environment in which one adult person died and 2 children died. You know who was number 4 and beat out Poltergeist? The Will Smith slap. Will didn't even kill anybody, and apparently it's worse than the Poltergeist set. He might as well have stabbed Chris Rock in the fucking neck with a steak knife at that point. That's why I think it's time. I think Hollywood needs to get on the phone and bring him back now. Now that we know the emotional distress and the emotional horse shit Jada Pinkett Smith was doing, it's time to bring him back. 7, Will Smith? And you lusting over Tupac, who's dead? Yo, hot take. Tupac would have never been as important as Will Smith was. Ever. He wouldn't have. He would have phased out like everyone else did from that era. You know what he would be? He'd be Joe Budden now. He would just be Joe Budden. He'd have a podcast and he'd ramble. That's it. And what I hate about Jada specifically is that she has this new age mindset where they're always trying to reinvent the wheel. We're reinventing what relationships are. We're redeveloping partnerships. We're rediscovering you. You know who says that shit? People who can't stay faithful. That's who says that shit. People who want open relationships or anything like that are full of and she's full of shit. And you took one of the greatest brands in all of fucking Hollywood and and you broke them down because your ass ain't have a brand.